education continues to grow and change, much like a garden. Through an experience of both music and images, I will be revealing the beliefs and traditions of the educational theories. The conservative tradition. A garden is always a series of losses set against a few triumphs, like life itself. May Sarton. Traditional gardens, like the gardens of Versailles, were all about appearance. Gardens were designed to project the wealth and power of the majesty, both to their subjects as well as to other leaders in the world. These gardens were created with highly manicured plants, marble fountains, and statues formed by some of the best artists in the world. Take a look at these gardens. Notice how formal they are. Notice the straight lines and the symmetry. These gardens can easily represent the conservative tradition within education, which argues for a set curriculum, covering the material one ought to know. The conservative tradition is like the most famous and traditional of gardens, the ones that are a bit more formal, that everyone recognizes in pictures, the ones you should know. These are the gardens of Versailles, the Imperial Palace in Japan, Monet's Garden, Buckingham Palace, the tulips in the Netherlands. These are the gardens that follow the rules. The music you are listening to is also a classic. It is Vivaldi's Spring Concerto. This concerto is one of Vivaldi's best-known works and represents a signature piece of classical music. Someone, in this case me, because I am the creator of this curriculum, has pre-selected these as being the right ones to study. In the same way, the curriculum of the conservative tradition was pre-selected, a set of lessons to be understood by all educated people. Yet a new tradition was forming, the progressive tradition, asking the questions, whose curriculum, whose rules, who is determining what will be taught?
The little boy went first day of school. He got some crayons and he started to draw. He put colors all over the paper, for colors was what he saw. And the teacher said, "What you doing, young man?" "I'm painting flowers," he said. She said, "It's not the time for art, young man. And anyway, flowers are green and red. There's a time for everything, young man, and the way it should be done. You've got to show concern for everyone else, for you're not the only one." And she said, "Flowers are red, young man, and green leaves are green. There's no need to see flowers any other way than the way they always have been seen." But the little boy said, "There are so many colors in the rainbow, so many colors in the morning sun, so many colors in a flower, and I see everyone."
Gardens began to change. Gone was the formal look and feel. Instead, gardens moved away from traditional lines to take on the culture of the area. Xeriscaping took advantage of drier climates. Sculpture gardens began to appear. No longer were sculptures serious pieces. Instead, they took on a sense of whimsy. Like the changes that became apparent in gardening, the views of education were changing as well. In Horace's School by Theodore Sizer, the beliefs of the curriculum are clearly stated. We believe that the curriculum can no longer be viewed as what is to be covered and what the students should show us that they know by simple recall. We must expect more. The students must be able to use this knowledge to acquire the habit of its thoughtful use. We do not sneer at the well-informed. However, we emphasize that our culture and our times demand more of students than that they be well-informed, and expect school, in all its aspects, to define and set such a standard. Curricula were changing to incorporate more of the student into the lessons. The focus moved to thinking, learning, communicating. The progressive tradition valued how ideas fit together. Students took on a role within the realm of education. For Vivian Paley, the classroom changed students from vessels to be filled to actors on a stage, and it was the teacher's role to hear what they had to say. The classroom has all the elements of theater, and the observant, self-examining teacher will not need a drama critic to uncover character, plot, and meaning. We are, all of us, the actors trying to find meaning of the scenes in which we find ourselves.
Why did the little girls grow crooked while the little boys grew tall? The boys were taught to tumble and the girls told not to fall. The girls answered the telephones, the boys answered the calls. That's why little girls grew crooked while the little boys grew tall. Why did the little girls grow crippled while the little boys grew strong? The boys allowed to come of age, the girls just come along. The girls were told sing harmonies while the boys could all sing songs. That's where little girls grew crippled while the little boys grew strong. Why did the
Just like in this song, words mattered. The word radical comes from the Latin word for roots. Schools began to recognize that they needed to strengthen children and address what was happening beneath the surface. The goals became access to power, equity versus equality, and a recognition and acceptance of culture in the classroom. Lisa Delpit argued, the dilemma is not really in the debate over instructional methodology, but in communicating across cultures and addressing the more fundamental issue of power, of whose voice gets to be heard in determining what is best for poor children and children of color. Jane Martin shares the same types of concerns when it comes to how women are educated. She states, Peter's educated person is one who will know nothing about the lives women have led throughout history, and little, if anything, about the works of art or literature women have produced. If his educated person is a woman, she will have been presented with few female role models in her studies, whereas her male counterpart will be able to identify with the doers and thinkers and makers of history.
There is a candle in every soul, some brightly burning, some dark and cold. There is a spirit who brings a fire, ignites a candle, and makes his home. So carry your candle, run to the darkness, seek out the hopeless, frustrated love. See how he's tried to light his own candle some other way. See now your sister, she's been robbed and lied to, still holds a candle without a flame. So carry your candle, run to the darkness, seek out the lonely, the tired and worn. Hold out your candle for all to see it. Take your candle, go light your world. Take your candle, go light your world. We are a family whose hearts are blazing, so let's raise our candles, light up the sky, praying to our Father in the name of Jesus. Makes us a beacon in darkest time. So carry your candle, run to the darkness, seek out the helpless, deceived and poor. Hold out your candle for all to see it. Take your candle, go light your world. Carry your candle.
Gardeners recognize that it's not just about planting beautiful plants. Gardeners must first consider what they are planting and where they are planting. Is it sunny all the time? Or will the plants receive quite a bit of shade through no fault of their own? In the same way, teachers too consider the culture her students come from and how it will affect those who walk through the doors. Gardeners must also prepare the soil, amending it and tilling it so that flowers can get what they need to grow. Don't teachers do that too? Don't they prepare their classroom, amend their curricula, determine what else the student will need for success? Then gardeners watch over their plants, ensuring that they get enough food and water, all the basics they need for life. The gardener must be fully present, caring for the plants, fighting back the weeds, and tilling the soil for the best possible harvest. The gardener must also give time for the plants to grow, because plants, like children, grow in their own time. The spiritual tradition expects much from our teachers. It recognizes the whole person and recognizes that education can be a transformation of self. Teaching then becomes a vocation of love, Huebner argues, a response to a call, and a sharing of a world filled with truth and beauty, just like these gardens.